up to everyone, lovely family, lovely friends out there, wherever you're watching Awini Unity platform from. Thank you so much, and we do really appreciate your time for always staying here with us at Awini Unity platform. This video, we are here once again to break it down to you, the World Cup 2026. We're gonna break it down to you to analyze everything with you right here, where African teams gonna be 2026 World Cup, the part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, where the team is going to be, and what African team going to have the most difficult group. And this video, we are doing it based on the teams that are top of the table so far, assuming that the teams that are topping on the table in the CAF World Cup qualifiers, assuming that they are the teams that are going to qualify automatically. Where are they going to be at the part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4, and what team is going to having the most difficult group. We analyze everything, and we're going to be sharing everything right here with you for you to understand it very well. So if today is your first time you're just watching this platform, and maybe probably you may not know what we normally talk about right here. This platform, we talk about African football, African national teams, club football, African players all over the world. So if you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and let us come together as one family right here. So now, let's drive very quick to the groups. Now, assuming that Group A, Egypt is topping right there, assuming that Egypt are teams that qualify from Africa. Moving to Group B, DR Congo is topping at Group B, assuming that DR Congo are team that qualify from Group B. Now, moving to Group C, South Africa is topping right there, assuming that South Africa qualify from there. Moving to Group D, Cape Verde topping right there, assuming that they qualify. Moving to Group E, Morocco is topping right there, assuming that they qualify. Moving to Group F, Cote d'Ivoire right there, top of this group, assuming that they qualify. Moving to Group G, Algeria topping right there, assuming that they qualify. Moving to Group H, Tunisia is top of that group, assuming that they qualify. Moving to Group I, that is the last group, assuming that Ghana qualified. So, someone was asking that, okay, assuming that all these teams that I guess we are talking about right now, if the teams that are top of the group, they are the ones qualify, where they're going to be. One, there are some teams right here, they are not going to get a very, very difficult group at the World Cup. But the teams that are going to be getting very difficult group is going to be countries like Cape Verde, Ghana, and so on. And as we're going on right here, you're going to understand everything pretty well. Ghana going to be one of the teams that are going to be having one of the difficult group at the World Cup 2026 if Ghana qualify. Ghana can meet countries like US, Mexico, Canada, Brazil, England, and so on in Germany. Why? This part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 normally based on FIFA ranking. Now, let's break it down to you for you to understand where your country probably may be if you're able to qualify. Let's get it right here. Now, there is no African team going to be making for part 1. Okay, this is part 1. We'll get into that. Okay, there is no African team going to be making at the part 1. Why? Based on FIFA ranking, if you can make the part 1, you have to be top of FIFA ranking number 19. And when you check the FIFA ranking as things stand now, FIFA ranking teams, there is no African team that even up to top 10, talking about 9. Now, this is a FIFA ranking so far. Okay, so if you are going to World Cup 2026, and that's going to be Mexico, Canada, US, and Mexico, meaning some African countries going to have it difficult to get easier group. Now, let's go for the FIFA ranking. Like I said, this is the FIFA ranking. This is the FIFA ranking as things stand now. Germany right there, number 1, world ranking. France 2, world ranking, and Spain is number 3. England 4, Brazil 5, Portugal 6, Netherlands 7, Belgium 8, Italy 9, and Germany 10. So meaning if they are going to make the pot 1, pot 2, we're going to be having from number 1 to number 9. Meaning even Germany, as things stand now, Germany cannot make it the pot 1, because pot 1 you have to have 9 teams. So luckily Germany not going to be making there if you want to divide it. Now let's check it right here. Pot 1, this is how pot 1 would be. This is how pot 1 would be. Pot 1, I'm putting the host nations top right there. That is US, Mexico, and Canada. They are the host nation. So you're going to pot 1, you're going to have US, you're going to have Mexico, Canada, Argentina, and you can see it on your screen. Argentina, France, Spain, England, Brazil, Netherlands, Portugal, Belgium, and Italy. And this is going to be ranking based, this is going to be putting for the pot 1 based on the FIFA ranking as things stand now. Now let's move to pot 2. This is pot 2, right? Pot 2, you're going to be having Germany, Croatia, Morocco, Uruguay, Colombia, Japan, Iran, Senegal, Switzerland, Denmark, Australia, and South Korea. That is group pot 2. When you go to pot 3, you're going to have countries like Ecuador, Australia, Egypt, Panama, Algeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Paraguay, Tunisia, Cameroon, Costa Rica, South Africa, and Uzbekistan. Now, the last group of the pot 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to be having, this is the pot 4, you're going to be having Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Jordan, Jamaica, Ghana, New Zealand, Serbia, Norway, Greece, Turkey, Venezuela, and DR Congo. So this time around, next year World Cup, you're going to be seeing African teams facing each other the same World Cup. Now, we all know that, let's go back to pot 1. We all know that when it comes to, if you are drawing in pot 1, meaning all these teams cannot meet each other. When you go to pot 2, you have how many African teams? You have Morocco right here, you have Senegal right here. Only pot 2, you have only African teams, meaning those teams will not meet each other. When you go to pot 3, okay, when you go to pot 3, how many African teams we have here? You have Egypt, you have Algeria, you have Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, South Africa, and Tunisia. So if I get it right, we have almost about 6 teams in one group from Africa. Egypt 1, Algeria 2, Cote d'Ivoire 3, Tunisia 4, Cameroon 5, South Africa 6. Meaning those countries, they will not meet each other. When you go to pot 4, you have how many African teams in pot 4? You have only, if I get it right, only 2 teams right here. That is Ghana and DR Congo. And this video is basing on, like I said earlier on, this video basing on the teams that are top of the group so far at the CAF World Cup qualifiers. So now, let's say if you are in group 4, luckily you will meet teams that are in group 3 or 2. If you are in group 4, if you are in pot 4, you will not meet any team that are in pot 4, but you can join alongside teams that are in pot 3. So luckily, Ghana that are in pot 4, luckily at the World Cup, Ghana can play against Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana can play against Cameroon, Ghana can join alongside Tunisia and South Africa. And the same time, Ghana can be drawing alongside the pot 2 Senegal, or Ghana can draw alongside the same with Morocco and other teams. Then the same time, you will see either Senegal will be drawing for the pot 3 with Ghana, or South Africa will be drawing. So this time around World Cup 2026, we're going to be having African teams drawing in the same group. Okay, that is one thing you need to know now. And when you look at the group right now, countries that are going to be having the most difficult group going to be the pot 4. The pot 4 teams. Okay, the pot 4 teams, and that is Ghana and DR Congo. Assuming that DR Congo and Ghana qualify now, they are the countries going to be having the most difficult group. Why? Because they are in the pot 4, and the pot 4 is the weakest team. Teams that are very, very weak. Okay, the most weakest team is the pot 4, but the pot 3 is much more better, stronger team. Pot 2 is very stronger team, and the pot 1 is the most stronger team in the group. So now, assuming that if you are Morocco and you are in pot 2, and you want to avoid this pot 1, you want to avoid Italy, Belgium, Portugal, Netherlands, you can see it. You want to avoid this team right here. The meaning you need to make sure that from now then, every game you play, you win every game to get some points from the FIFA ranking. Then it will move you from the pot 2 to pot 1 based on how the FIFA ranking going to be releasing, getting to the World Cup. So let's say right now, let's use these teams for example. Ghana and DR Congo are in pot 4 based on their ranking now. But if DR Congo able to win their remaining games, win all the 4 games, and Ghana win all their 4 games, basically the FIFA ranking, they are not going to be where they are now. The FIFA ranking, they're going to be lifting up. And maybe teams that are in pot 2, maybe if they don't win their games, and teams that are in pot 3, if they don't win their games, teams that are going to be in pot 4, they will automatically come pot 3 or pot 2 based on the FIFA ranking. I hope you guys are understanding what I mean right here exactly. So that is why I said it, that the World Cup qualifiers that are remaining, it is very, very important. Let's say if you are Egypt, even if you qualify, don't say I have qualified already. Make sure that you win all your remaining games so that you will get favor, because when it comes to the draw, pot 1, pot 2, pot 3, normally based on FIFA ranking. Okay, it's normally based on FIFA ranking. Now, if you are, let's say, South Africa, try that you're going to win all your remaining games. If you win all your remaining games in your friendly matches, you win most of them and you draw some of them, you're going to get advantage on the FIFA ranking. You're going to be lifting up, and you're not going to be where you're supposed to be at the World Cup draw. If you are Ghana, example, Ghana is the last group right here, topping right here. If you are Ghana right here, now Ghana, you have your last game, your last 4 games. That is a chart, you can see it on your screen as well. That is against Chad, Mali, Central African Republic, and Comoros. So if you're able to win all these games, even though if you don't win all these games and you're able to win about 3 matches and drawing 1, meaning automatically where Ghana is right now in the FIFA ranking, they will not be there again. When the FIFA ranking release, they're going to be up, and that's going to be helping Ghana moving from pot 4. I guess give you guys here, moving from pot 4 to either pot 3 or pot 2. So it is very, very important to remind some of the coaches in some of the countries, that African countries, if you want to qualify, or even if you qualify already going to round 7 and round 8 matches, don't say I have qualified already, so I'm not going to use my best teams. No, use your best team to make sure that you get all the necessary funds so that when the FIFA ranking release, at least you will move from down to up. And when you get into the World Cup draw, you're able to get pot 2, or even if you don't get pot 1, you will get pot 2 or pot 3. So that when the draws come out in 2026, it will favor you a little bit. But as things stand now, the African teams are going to be having the most difficult draw is Ghana and Congo. Why? Because they are in the bottom in the pot 1 and 2 and 3. They are at 4 and all must draw all the time. It is the weakest team that have always been in pot 4. So this is how your country going to be, assuming that CAF World Cup qualifiers that are going on in Africa. Teams that are top right now, assuming that they qualify, just to use one team for example, assuming that Egypt qualify, that is where they're going to be in the FIFA 2026 pot 1, pot 2, pot 3. So yeah, if you are watching and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and let us grow together as one family right here. We need to always support our African football and push it to where we all wanted African football to be. So thank you once again, whatever part you may be watching us from. Stay blessed